So you got that tiny little fire. Oh, I mean, it was an enormous fire down in Los Angeles. It closed down Interstate 10, closed down the 10 going into downtown Los Angeles. You know what's crazy about this is how much pushback there has been to not implicate the homeless as the cause of the fire. We all know damn well it was the unhoused living underneath the freeway that caused this fire. You know why? Well, let's get into it. Here we go. Just absolutely don't blame the homeless, even though they're surrounding the entire area. I mean, it could have been anybody. They come right out and Gavin Newsom comes right out and says it was arson. Okay. By who? Who is going to light a whole bunch of pallets on fire underneath the freeway other than just some whacked out homeless individual? And have we heard this story before? Absolutely. Time and time and time again. You got fires going on near your major freeways. All right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to start off with, besides me ranting, we're going to start off with a little German in Venice action. Let's watch a little German in Venice. He's a great guy. Give him a subscribe if you haven't already. He's got content for days that's LA, and it's fun stuff. Here we go.
The origin of this is arson. We do not know other information. There is no reason to assume that the origin of this fire or the reason this fire happened was because there were unhoused individuals nearby.
I would call absolute bullshit to that one. Here are some reasons why that might not necessarily be true and why it's a logical assumption that some whacked out drug addict derelict living underneath the freeway caused this fire. You got a bunch of pallets underneath the freeway. You get this business going on. It's storing stuff under there. You've got homeless living all around this area. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. This is not a massive leap in logic coming to the conclusion that a homeless person set this fire. We know that it's arson. It's just nobody wants to say, oh, it's a homeless person, because then it gives folks who are against this whole concept of just letting people live wherever the F they want. It's too much ammunition, right? It's not a good look. Well, here's another reason. Remember that I-10 fire? Here's another reason you can't just let people live wherever they want. There needs to be some enforcement, right? So everybody's saying, it's the homeless people. Because it was.
Arson appears to be the likely ignition.
But we're not going to say by who.
That ignition was determined with precision by the Fire Marshal, CAL FIRE, and their teams. And
that's a blaze.
Turn this site back over.
Angelinos, it's good news. The freeway will not have to come down.
No.
So instead of months,
God, can you imagine if it did?
As the governor mentioned, 3 to 5 weeks.
Incident.
Quick update. The freeway is going to be open in just a handful of days from me recording this. By the time you watch this video, more than likely, I-10 will be open, barring any unknown delays. What happened is they got into it and realized the damage just wasn't as bad as they thought. So for those of you in LA watching this, yeah, I think you got lucky on this one. But you got to clear out some of these knucklehead addicts living underneath the freeway, right?
Ahead, all lanes closed. Traffic is already messed up on the 10 freeway going downtown. This is just the beginning.
Because you got to get off the freeway before you get to downtown and use side streets. Not yet. 4 lanes goes to an off-ramp on Alameda Street. Brutal. Look at those mountains, though. So pretty. All right, there's a section that got burned. Underneath there, it just got burned.
All those trucks and all those cars going on the side street, they want you to use different routes on the freeway. Because the main streets are not made for over 300,000 cars driving on side streets. All the news outlets, KTLA, Channel 5.
That's some great footage.
They would not let anybody through without a badge or a hard helmet.
Understandable.
Well, I don't have a badge, but I got a hard helmet.
You got a California Republic hat.
Los Angeles, California. No, I'm not working for Channel 5 News, KTLA. I'm actually right here on 14th Street and Alameda, and this is where the freeway underpass caught fire on Saturday. I was in Germany, but many of my friends actually sent me videos, and they said, Mike, you got to go do a story about it. Believe me, if I would have been here, I would have come down here.
Oh, he would have been there. Oh, yeah.
It's the first day that I could come down here. But as you can see, you can't really get close to the side because they have fences around everywhere. The overpass is burned so badly, it could come crashing down any time. They just want to make sure nothing is going to happen. I'm trying to see the bridge from all different angles.
That's about it as far as you get the idea of what you've got going on there. So engineers went under there and apparently they took a look around and they're like, no, concrete, everything seems to be structurally okay. We're going to run with it. We're going to clean this bad boy up. We're going to polish the turd and we're going to let cars drive on it. Because structurally, apparently it sounds like it's okay. But all the stuff in the media was, it was arson, but we don't know who. I mean, there's no reason. You heard the mayor. Let's check out the California Globe. Let's check out the California Globe. I-90 reopening timeline announced. Speculation grows on who was responsible for freeway fire. I mean, seriously. The Globe spoke with arson investigators who have had experience with homeless encampment fires. Let's talk about that for 1 second before we get into this. The mayor of LA said there's no reason to believe that homeless folks are to blame for this fire. How many fires have you known me just right here to have reported on just in Seattle? Just in Seattle. I mean, fires are all day long. I mean, we had a massive burn here a few months ago on the Mercer Street ramp. The nut job there, who is accused of maybe killing some people, well, he lit that encampment. It had 80,000 Seattleite cars going in and out of downtown. He tipped over a candle. We had an explosion in a fentanyl tent on the side of Interstate 5 that caught the hillside on fire. This is right in front of, it's right in front of our massive regional Harborview Medical Center, our trauma center. There's been fires at the intersection of I-5 and I-90 here in Seattle. There's fires all the time. We talk about the resources spent for the fire department to have to go out to these homeless encampments, the number of times that the fire department has to go out. And that includes people having a campfire. That includes people trying to cook, people got a burn barrel, all that stuff. Because when you've got a nylon tent or you've got fuel nearby, you got a generator nearby, you've got propane tanks nearby. Yeah, flame and those sources of fire do not mix well. And you will literally see tent, and then just this black charred area that has some fiberglass poles sticking out of it. That's because you had a fire in a tent encampment. This goes on all day, every day. There are fires. This is what happens. And yet here in California, we don't know who's responsible. I mean, there's homeless living all around this area, underneath the freeway, the 10 going into downtown. Homeless just saturated in this area. But then we're going to say, don't really know who's to blame here. We're not really sure who we should point the finger at. I mean, no, it can't be the homeless, can it? Because then you'd have to say, well, you need to clear out all the homeless underneath the freeways, and you do. How about on Interstate 5, where we had the Ship Canal Bridge encampment? Fireworks got caught on fire underneath the freeway, same damn thing, and we're shooting onto the freeway. What about that? Oh, ignore that. I mean, there's no causal relation then. I mean, you can't blame the homeless. Wait a minute, that was the homeless. All those other stories, those were homeless people living in homeless encampments, not in a dead van down by the river. That's the homeless homeowner who's not able to occupy his residence because his tenant is not paying rent, yet he's Airbnb-ing out the basement. I think that guy got evicted. He got out of there, but who knows? So, Governor Gavin Newsom, let's talk about him for a second. We expect the I-10 freeway to be reopened in traffic in 3 to 5 weeks. So they cut it down from months. They cut it down to weeks, and now it's supposed to be, I'm recording for you on a Friday, next Tuesday. I know folks in California and LA are probably like, oh man, we dodged the bullet on that one. Yes, you did. But you need to put pressure on folks, need to put pressure on politicians so this doesn't happen again. Got to get those sweeps going. You got to clear that nonsense out, because this is why you can't allow people to just live willy-nilly wherever in these massive encampments. And LA is famous for their encampments, right? You've got a third of the homeless population in the United States located in California. We're going to go to the second part. Investigations into the I-10 fire. While no new information was officially released by the state as to who started the fire, speculation grew on Tuesday and Wednesday that a homeless encampment underneath the highway was at least partially responsible for the blaze. I mean, just a little bit, just a scooch of responsibility. Not all of it. Just half the fire. Partially responsible for the blaze. As the Globe reported on Tuesday, homeless people who were stealing electricity from a nearby building when something went wrong have been the new prime suspects to many. Social media users also quickly pointed out on Tuesday that the whole area was lined with homeless tents. But don't blame them, because it's a bad look, because then we got to do something about it. And that's a big task. We have really let this bad boy situation go. Don't want to be responsible for, We had the same damn problem here in Seattle. Homeless encampments underneath major interstates are responsibility of Department of Transportation. And they're basically saying, well, we don't have the resources to clear out the homeless encampments. So then what happens is you got to have one of these fires. This is what happens here locally. Got to have one of these fires. And then the mayor can come in and say, all right, we got an emergency. Seattle, whatever crew, go in there, and Seattle SDOT, Seattle Department of Transportation, go in and clean that bad boy out, because this is an emergency. So you're literally just reacting to this stuff instead of being proactive and starting to hammer on these homeless encampments. Yeah. But when you clear out the homeless encampments, and you're just playing that whack-a-mole game, because those folks aren't really going anywhere. It's like down in San Francisco. You had now it's almost over. The APEC conference is almost over. And they cleaned out the homeless right around the Moscone Center. And where did those people go? They went to the nearby alleyways, like we talked about. This is not that hard to figure out. They didn't disappear, because their addiction, their mental health, that deal, that doesn't change just because a bunch of billionaires come in from China and, president of China. Apparently I was pronouncing the China's president's name wrong. Sorry about that. Yeah, don't really care. You know what I mean? China. All right. So especially the homeless tents, especially around the pallet facility, showing increased evidence of at least some homeless people there being involved in some way. All right. Let's just piece this together. You got the freeway. This is an underpass under the freeway. We saw that rig go right by German in Venice. Mike by German in Venice. No. You got an underpass. It's loaded with tents. It's a known quantity. It's Los Angeles. This is not the first fire they've had, but showing increased evidence of at least some homeless people there being involved in some way. We've got partial responsibility. Yeah, just come right out and say it. Hey, they're responsible. They lit the mofo pallets on fire. Call it what it is. Oh, that's not good. Because you know what's going to happen even then? Nothing. This is such an out of control issue. You've let it get this far, such an out of control issue. The resources it would take to clean up the homeless situation, especially in LA, and to get those folks into treatment, whether it's mental health care or addiction services, into detox involuntarily, we're just not doing that, right? So you've got this terrible situation, and you really don't politically have the ability, other than just doing these random sweeps when something catches on fire and stops 300,000 Los Angelinos from making it into downtown. What a cluster. I'm using Mike from Journeyman in Venice's, his data on that freeway system. I mean, it's a lot of people, right? The 10 going into downtown, 4 lanes, a lot of folks. So this is a big inconvenience, but yeah, somehow the homeless are involved, but we're not really sure. We're just, there's no reason to believe it would be them, other than all of the data says this is a homeless encampment, arson, for just stuff going on. How about in Seattle, we had 50-something boats get burned up by a homeless dude walking down underneath the I-5. See the correlation here? I-5, I-10. Yeah, he walked underneath I-5. There is literally a marina with a bunch of stacked up boats. He climbed up top because he was just high on meth or whatever and lit a boat on fire. And then he climbed back down and maybe fell in the water because he was all soaking wet when they found him on another boat nearby, passed out asleep. Caused 50-something boats to catch on fire. Yeah. Adding to the growing speculation is the fact that similar fires in recent years by other highways in Los Angeles were also previously found to have been caused by homeless encampments. I mean, we are talking about just absolute blinding glimpses of the obvious. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, there's no reason to believe that's the case. We have nothing in our system right now. We have no evidence. Now, you got all the evidence in the world. You're just like, this isn't going to look good. Oof. People are going to be pissed. We're just letting the homeless people live wherever, and it's causing major, major issues with their commute to getting to their jobs so that they can pay taxes and fund this ridiculousness. The most recent such fire occurred Tuesday with a homeless encampment found on fire underneath a nearby LA freeway. Yeah, so it's not like there isn't precedent for this, right? Everybody knows the drill. I cover these fires. I mean, happens all the time. Literally. All right. The smoke from these encampments, the fires, you can be seen for miles away. Miles away. They're that big. Because when you have all this, basically what I call homeless tinder, it goes up in flames, just, right? And pallets, talk about pallets, wood pallets, thin pieces of wood strung together to make a, pallet for whatever it is that you're moving around. And you can put that forklift on, those arms underneath and move it. Pallets underneath the freeway that are covered, not wet in Los Angeles. Just got through going through a Los Angeles summer. That's tinder. That's homeless tinder. The combined evidence led many to believe that state officials and Governor Newsom had been trying to not blame the homeless because of several factors, including showing just how rampant homeless encampment fires are, how it would highlight the failures of many homeless policies, and the possible damage it would do to Newsom's campaign. Ooh, what campaign? What campaign is he doing? But he says he's doing a shadow campaign, right? Yeah. He went over to China to prep the president there. What's that all about? All right. When you talk with Biden, here's all the stuff that you need to have in your head, because he can't really communicate to you But I can, because I'm only 56 and I haven't lost my mind yet. Some of you might disagree. But what we can definitively say is that Gavin Newsom does not appear to be suffering from late stages of dementia. Our fearless leader of the free world, however, does. So, when he sat down with a meeting with the president of China, how did that go? What did that look like? What do you think they talked about? What kind of ice cream do you want to have at lunch? I don't know. The Globe spoke with arson investigators who have had experience with homeless encampment fires in the past on Wednesday. They expressed that nothing should be ruled out until the investigation completes. If there is anything other than this was an arson set by a homeless person or a group of homeless people or something along those lines, I will be shocked. I'm not saying that this isn't a likely outcome, that homeless people set it on fire. I'm just saying, yeah, you never say never, but I would place heavy money. If there's a bet in Vegas, I would take it, right? I'd lay $1,000. Homeless person lit it on fire. $1,000. Yeah. What are the odds on that one? What's my over under, right? There's a lot of talking over this one, but you need to look at the facts of the case, said Tim Spencer, a former fireman and fire investigator for an insurance company, to the Globe. So right now, state officials are looking into this, but don't assume the homeless are to blame. Don't assume that the unhoused are to blame. Well, I'm going to, because that's the beauty of having a podcast where you sit in Seattle and you go, that was set by a homeless person down in LA. That's just what we're doing. But since they called this an arson, that means they found something at the site, like residue or traces of an accelerant or something flammable. A lot of times it takes some doing, but I've had a few insurance fraud cases where they claimed an accident, but they left the lighter at the scene of the crime or left out a receipt for a lot of flammable materials. Point is, they found something beyond it being an accident. So I think right from the get-go, they said arson. Okay. We just know that. I mean, apparently it's so obvious that they could early on say, yes, this is arson. But everybody involved in it, don't be quick to judge exactly who set this fire. We're adults here. We're reasonable adults. You don't have to try and baby us like, we don't really know. I'm not really sure, but don't blame the unhoused. Right. No, we're going to. Right here, we're going to. This was set by some unhinged addict or somebody with mental issues. May not be their fault that they set this homeless fire, but the fact that you can't get these people the help that they need, that is the fault of the city of LA. That's the fault of California in general. So any politician has dirt on their hands from this one, right? Nobody died that I'm aware of. It's a terrible political look. It's a terrible look because now you're like, oh yeah, but they're going to brush it all underneath the freeway. Literally, they're going to brush it aside and go, hey, you know, those months long delay that we told you you're going to have getting to work to pay the bills so that you can pay my salary as governor of the state of California. That's been cut short. It's no longer months. It's no longer weeks. It's Tuesday. Cause for celebration. Big smile. Hey, God bless California. That being said, homeless camps are notorious for fires. Put all those excuses aside. That being said, homeless camps are notorious for fires. Over 50% of fires fought by the Los Angeles Fire Department are homeless caused. Is that one more piece of data that kind of really hones in on the fact that this might have been caused by a homeless person? Yeah, I'm going to go with yes. As are some wildfires. Uh-oh, yeah. Nobody wants to mention that, though. Hey, there are wildfires on top of it. And most of the time, they aren't malicious. Yeah. Tell that to the people who lose all their stuff. Tell that to the people who lose their buildings. This wasn't malicious. Alrighty then. But my structure is completely demolished. We've seen many fires go out of control simply because they started a fire to stay warm and it grew too big. That is why you can't have people living willy-nilly doing shenanigans like this. You can't have that. And so, but we do. And we have basically, I'm saying folks in California as well, because we got the same damn problem here in Seattle. I just rattled off to you how many fires I could come up with off the top of my head. It's probably every couple of weeks we have a big fire here in Seattle. And again, it's because people are smoking stuff in their tent, catches a nylon tent on fire. Get the out of the tent. Oh, sorry. Get the F out of the tent. It's going to go up and poof, it does, right? So they started a fire to stay warm and it grew too big. This one, though, it's an arson of some sort. So what investigators finally report on will be very interesting. It'll be, we don't know who set the fire. We don't know who set the fire, but it was arson. That's what they're going to go with, because then there's no liability, right? It's just, we're going to do the best we can. We're going to put forth an initiative. It's going to be called Clean Out Underneath All the Freeways, the Homeless Encampments. And we're going to bring in lots of services. There's going to be lots of reach arounds. And yeah. More on who caused the fire and exactly how it happened is expected to be released soon. I hope so. I will be watching. I haven't really covered this one from the standpoint of it's a fire, a big fire happened, because there hasn't been anything really concrete as to who caused it, why was it caused? Because that's not really a story. The story to me is the massive, just brush off. We had a homeless encampment fire, but there's no blame. I mean, don't worry about who did it. I mean, there's no reason to go down that road and actually blame the homeless, even though you know damn well that's who did it. Because we have this article came right out and said it, right? This is not a tough, tricky situation. If you're reasonable and you're logical, you know that these folks shouldn't be allowed to live wherever they want, doing crazy stuff. But this is a byproduct of this liberal policy that just allows people to just wherever they want to go, it's fine. This is one more pushback. This is one more piece of data that I think reasonable people, look down the barrel of and go, this isn't working out all that well. This isn't working out all that well. But you know what people in Seattle do? The same thing these damn people down in LA do. Don't blame the homeless. We don't know. Let's be fair. Let's not be, too inclusive of the homeless in population here. We can't have that. We need to have more diversity. Blame other people. Well, who? They didn't do it. If I'm wrong on this one, I'll be wildly surprised. I'd be very, very surprised. Because why would somebody else is maybe going to take the fall for this? Yeah. Because all right. Because these fires are being set all the time. All the time. This is not a one-off. Happens all the time. We'll see. I will give you an update as it becomes available. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for supporting. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell for each time we're bringing out a piece of content twice a day. If you want to send me a message, you can make comments. I'm trying to get to as many comments as I can on the YouTube. But Discord, our Discord channel, which is Reasonable Plus, is another great way to get a hold of me. If you want to send me an email link is in the description of the YouTube video. Also, every morning, 9 a.m., I am typically at some point during the first video we release each day, Monday through Friday. I am there at the release. I am there at the premiere, we call it. YouTube calls it. So if you want to hang out, 9 o'clock until however long the video goes to Seattle time, Monday through Friday. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.